Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're actually gonna go ahead and work on the 370Z because I got a check engine light and I believe it's PA200 or it's P2A00, something like that. I'll put it somewhere around here so you guys can see the code and what it is. And what this code reads is that there's some type of air fuel ratio issue with sensor 1, bank 1. And to kind of help you guys in figuring out which sensor is which, when it says bank 1, that's your passenger side. Bank 2 is your driver's side. Bank 1, sensor 1 is the top sensor before the cat. After the cat, sensor 2. So, bank 2 over here on this side, the driver's side. Then you have sensor 1, which is before the cat, which is like on the header. And then you have your other one that goes at the bottom after the cat. That's going to be sensor 2. So I am having an issue on bank 1, sensor 1, which is this side over here, and it says the top one. I think the reason I am having an issue is because I have an exhaust leak. That's what I'm thinking. I can't 100% confirm until I lift it, and I feel like I can hear a hissing sound now, whereas before I would not hear a hissing sound. And also I used to get a rattle sound from my exhaust. I'm not getting that anymore, so I think something is either loose, something is coming off, or my gasket completely broke off, so it is completely loose. I'll possibly start it to see if it makes a loud hissing sound when I'm under there. That's the best way of really figuring out if there's something wrong with the sensor itself and or if it's like an exhaust leak. I don't think it's the sensor, and the reason I don't think that it is because I'm not getting bad gas mileage. It's still staying around the same. But on top of that, usually when you have like a bad sensor that's not reading correctly at all or it's not working, the check engine light will turn on pretty fast, like within 15 minutes of it doing a full diagnostic of your car. Now, if it's reading correctly, usually it'll take some time to detect the issue and then turn the check engine light on. My check engine light, I reset it and it turns on after about, I would say, 2 hours of driving. So, I drive 1 hour to work, 1 hour back. The check engine light turns on after I come back of work. So technically 2 hours after driving. So I think it is working and it's detecting air and everything. And it's reading air fuel mixture correctly. It's just detecting some type of leak, and that's why it's possibly throwing the code. Can't confirm just yet, but just based off of that like knowledge, diagnostic of me like reading the car and what it's doing, I feel like that's what's going on. There's a really bad exhaust leak. Some exhaust leaks are a lot more prominent and you can hear them a lot better than others, but in this case pretty sure I can hear when I'm driving down the street, especially if there's like a wall next to me. I can hear that hissing sound. These cars are prone to having hissing sounds, especially with aftermarket cats. So I have R pipes on here and it's very prominent, like you can hear it very clearly. So I know that there is that possibility of it being a hissing sound, but I could also have some type of crack. But we're gonna go ahead and jack up the car, see exactly what's going on, and then go from there. Alright guys, so here I am under the car, and I went ahead and checked everything, see if there was any leaks on the side. I could not see any leaks, but I did notice that this side was making a lot more noise than this side over here. So this is like what the R pipes look like, and they're connected up there. And what I would do is I'll kind of like feel around to see if there was anything like leaking. You would feel like the air pushing out, and I did not see anything. But when I removed this test pipe or R pipe over here, I did notice that one of the bolts, which was this one right here, or the nut, was extremely loose. So I'm not sure if that has something to do with it. Being that loose might cause a leak. And the rattling noise was kind of concerning because it wasn't really coming from the R pipe. It was coming more from like the upper part. So I'm thinking it's coming from this over here. And there's the sensor. I went ahead and removed it already. To kind of show you guys what I did to remove it is I went ahead and grabbed and opened a wrench like this one, and I put it on the O2 sensor just like that from the top. And this is going to be easier to do with the test pipe removed, as you can see, because then I can just put it up there. And then on the end right here, I went ahead and added this breaker bar, or this bar from my jack on the end right there, to give me some leverage, and that's how I broke it loose. Just in case you guys don't have an O2 sensor remover, if you do have it, it'll make it a whole lot easier to be able to take it out. But if you don't, I broke it off that way, and as you can see, it's loose. Here's the gasket so you guys can see how it looks. And based off of this right here, you can kind of see that I was most likely leaking from like right here and right here, because there's like some seepage going all the way up. This was the back side. So it was loose on this side right here, and it'll most likely cause a leak up there. And then right here, this was sealed pretty well. These were pretty tight over here on this side. So, I mean, it could be very possible that it is just a leak. I just could not feel the leaks, especially because it was hard to get my hand up there. It was really hot and I did not want to burn it. And then right here, if you look at the flange portion, you can kind of see like where it's leaking from, right there and up there. So it could be very possible that it is leaking from that flange right there at the top. The bottom, I had no issues. Like as you can see, you can't really see like any seepage, right? So this wouldn't have a leak. It's the top one. And then something else that you guys would want to do is go ahead and check out all of the wells to see if any cracks are visible. When I had my AMS downpipes for my Q50, it cracked somewhere around like the flange portion, right there on that bracket. I don't see any cracks whatsoever on this. I already inspected everything, even like right there, check that to see any cracking where it could be possibly leaking from. Even like right here, for example, but I really just don't see anything. I've checked every single flange or weld and I don't see any cracks anywhere whatsoever. Yeah, there's nothing there. So I don't see any issues. It's toast, so you can see right there, look at that. It's separated already. This is completely gone. But yeah, gaskets will be here later today. I'll put the sensor back on, put the new gaskets on, and see if that fixes my issue, hopefully. Before I go ahead and begin replacing these gaskets, I highly suggest going through the surface and cleaning it up. As you can see, it has like some residue on it, and right there I'm already taking quite a bit off. And you want to get this completely flat. As you can see, a bunch of it is just caked on there that you need to remove from the gasket. If you don't remove it, the gasket will not sit flush, and that's how you will have leaks. This side has quite a bit caked on at the bottom, as you can see. So just going through it, taking it off will give you a nice flat surface. Here's a new gasket that just came in. As you can see, it has this ring in the middle, and I think this will help reinforce it so it doesn't break anymore and cause a leak. Well, at least that's what I'm hoping. So let's go ahead and begin installing this thing, and hopefully this fixes our issue. Alright, so I got everything tightened up. Let's go ahead and do our first cold start and see if we have any issues. See if it actually starts running better since it doesn't have that leak anymore. After letting the car run for a bit, I noticed something that I didn't really think was a problem until just now after replacing the gaskets. But when I was listening to the car earlier, or before when I would let it warm up for a bit, I actually noticed that it was making a hissing sound on the initial startup. Once the car warmed up, this sound would go away. Now that I turned the car on and I was listening to it closely, and as you guys can hear from the footage, it sounds pretty quiet. You can't hear that sound anymore, and it's completely gone. So For me, it wasn't as noticeable when I would initially start the car up before, because my Tomy exhaust is so loud that like it overtakes everything around and I can't really hear clearly. So if I were you guys, I would really pay attention and listen to your engine really closely when you start it up, especially if you have a loud exhaust, and then just try to hear for, you know, those sounds, right? It was over here where I would hear it, and then when I was under the car, I couldn't hear it on the bottom portion of the exhaust, but I could for sure hear it like on the top portion where the header was connecting to the R pipe. So it was like in the middle, right? I couldn't really figure out exactly where it was coming from, but I'm like positive it was that. This side, I couldn't really hear any issues, any noises, because the gasket was like decent. I mean, it still needed to be replaced, but it was still covering everything up and sealing properly, as where that one was completely toast. But yeah, just something I noticed, something you guys will want to go ahead and check out. And I know for sure, like when I was driving by where I live, there's cars that are always parked on the side, and I couldn't hear before, at least when my gasket was good, I couldn't hear like the hissing sound as much. But now when I was driving the car recently, when the gasket did go bad, I noticed that the car was making like a loud hissing sound. So I would highly suggest doing that. Like if you notice that your exhaust kind of changes, the hissing sound is a lot more noticeable, you most likely have a bad gasket and you should get that checked out. So I'm going to go ahead and run the car tomorrow for the full day technically while I go to work and come back. If the check engine light does not come back, then that most likely fixed my issue. If it does come back, I'm going to have to replace that sensor. I did not put the new sensor on. I have it somewhere over here, which is this one. I picked up a cheap one just to see if it would fix it. So if it fixes it good, I'll return that. Got it from Amazon. But if it doesn't, that would most likely be my issue, and I need to go ahead and replace it. But the car sounds a lot quieter already, so I'm pretty sure I fixed the leak issue. Now it's just hoping that the check engine light doesn't come back. So I'll go ahead and pick it back up once I finish driving for the entire day, and I will keep you guys updated if it does actually go away. Alright guys, so today is the next day, and it's currently 6:22. I left work early in the morning and drove the car for 2 hours. As you can see, the check engine light has not came back on. So our issue has officially been fixed, and no more check engine light regarding that code. So everything's good to go now. I would highly suggest you go ahead and check out your exhaust to see if you have some type of leak, crack, anything around that flange area. It could possibly, you know, cause a check engine light to come on like mine did. And my car was actually noticeable on initial startup. Once it warmed up, it would go away, but when I was listening to it, when it was like kind of cold, I could hear that exhaust leak pretty well. But that's going to conclude the video, guys. Hopefully this helps you guys out in figuring out this issue, how to fix it. If that doesn't fix your issue, then you should go ahead and replace the sensor. And if you need to go ahead and replace the sensor, use an OEM sensor to change that out. I wouldn't try to use these aftermarket ones because they may not last as long. So I highly suggest going with the OEM. Check online, NISSAN, I think even possibly Concept Z sells them. They're pretty pricey, not gonna lie. They're like $200 something, but they're gonna last a little longer than your other sensors out there. But thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.